It's been a minute since I have been here. I've missed you. While we are waiting on folks to join, don't forget that Cooped Up is my website where I just randomly will post things. Not recently, but randomly. I'm Cooped Up is my handle on all the social places. Would love a follow. And wherever you watch or listen to this, you can watch it here on Facebook or on YouTube Live, or it actually streams on Spotify and some of the streaming platforms too. Be sure to click wherever you can subscribe to do all that so that you don't miss a minute in case you can't catch it live. So let's see. How's everybody? Be sure to comment also. God, I'm out of practice here. There's about a 20-second delay between the time I comment and I see your thing. So just keep that in mind in case I don't know what's going on. So how's everybody doing? So we are back. We are back again. So we got back from North Carolina, a little over a week in North Carolina on Saturday evening. And then school started today for the kids. And they are back home and everyone is trying to return to some normalcy. Hey mama, good to see you. I posted a photo on your Aura photo frame. I'm sure you saw it earlier today. But by the way, if you do not have one of these, where is it? Right there. That Aura photo frame. It is the Aura Carver photo frame. It is the absolute best. Get it as a gift. It's like the best Mother's Day gift I ever bought my mom. And you can just throw photos to it. You can put them on your own. It looks so realistic. It's great. So, hey, Bentley. I hope everyone is doing well. Wait, what? You're live at 12:30 a.m. on a Tuesday in Greece? Aaron is in Greece, y'all. He's obviously up late in Greece, too. Man, midnight, late night entertainment for you there. And what unusual news you have from there, but I will not share that for you. So we are back. So here's the thing. So we were in North Carolina for the last week at Todd's parents' house, and if you know anything about North Carolina, especially like the far western edge of it, where the Smoky Mountains and the Blue Ridge Mountains and all of that are, that is where my in-laws live. It is easily the most beautiful part of the entire United States of America. Dollywood is just over the mountains from them, on the other side of the mountains. It is gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. They live where the foothills cascade into the mountains. So like if you saw, what was the movie, some Indian movie, was it the Kevin Costner one maybe, where they have like Flat Rock that looks over all of that. That is like 15 miles from their house. It is so gorgeous there. And so it is, and also it cools down at night there. See, in Texas, it just gets dark at night. There, it actually cools down, although the humidity was crazy. I had humidities the whole time. But Dances with Wolves, yes, I believe that's the one. No, was that it? Where at the end, the Indian chief was looking over all of it. There's some movie, I think. Dirty Dancing was also filmed. Same lake, Lake Lure, just around the corner from their house, like within 20 minutes of driving. So gorgeous. But the one of the things is coming back from there, it is so visually stunning there. It's Last of the Mohicans. That's what it is, Monica. Yes, I think that's the right one. So beautiful, beautiful, beautiful area. And they live on like this landscaped, like it's like Central Park, tons of acreage. It's great. And just reminded me of something to kids driving. Remind me to tell you about the kids driving lessons. So you go back from there. So you go there and you're looking into the Blue Ridge Mountains, which are part of the Smoky Mountain chain. Just gorgeous. You can see these layers of them, trees, wonderful, great. And then you come back, you land at DFW Airport, and you get in your car and you drive home. And even my neighborhood, which is super lush for Dallas, big trees, rolling hills, and all that stuff. Kessler Park is unlike the rest of Dallas, but it's like, wah, wah. Everything just looks brown and dry, and no rain being had here, although I heard it rained for like, it rained so hard here that it set our security alarm off one of the days, and we had to deal with that from there. But yeah, it's so brown and dry here. But we have good cell service here, and there is something to be said about that. They have terrible cell service out there. and their internet has gotten better. Their internet has gotten so much better that they can finally stream. They have not been able to stream anything. You can barely watch a YouTube video at their house prior to this summer. They upgraded. Well, they were finally able to upgrade. They weren't being cheap. They were paying a gazillion dollars for shitty internet forever. And they were finally able to upgrade so much that while I was there, I helped them. I'm kind of like the stand-in IT director for the Koch family. Although Nina, Todd's sister, her husband Peter is actually an IT kind of person, so he's taken over a lot of it since. But prior to that, and still some, when I visit, it's like Kuba. That's their German. So Kuba, this is not working. How do I get it to work? Oh, can you help me figure this out? Like that's the and I'm not making fun of them. That's just my terrible. I'm horrible at accents. Y'all know that. But so I managed to get them. Well, I didn't pressure them at all. They were like, we want to learn to stream, and so we had to put like Netflix on and all that kind of stuff. And by the end of the week, guess what? We canceled their Direct TV and moved them to Direct Stream, which is still Direct TV, but it's like $100 a month cheaper. It has all the local channels. It has their conservative propaganda channel that they like to watch, just the same as regular. It has all of that. So I consider that a win. And I did it at least a couple of days before leaving so that if there was some snafu or whatever, it would not be on me. Similarly, I guess it's probably been about 10 years now. They were having computer issues and I was trying to troubleshoot stuff. But they were on a PC. I know almost nothing about PCs anymore because I'm 100% Mac. So I finally was like, okay, I'm shutting the IT department down unless y'all get a Mac computer. So they drove out here a couple weeks later, not for that reason. It just was planned that way. And the Apple store on Knox Street had their best day ever. There's like computer, 2 iPads, 2 iPhones. Because I don't even think they had iPhones yet. So Monica said, I bet the kids were happy. Yes, the kids could actually stream stuff there. I think there were still some glitches with like Roblox and like live games, but anyway, but we are back. The kids also learned to drive a little bit there. So they, like I said, they live on a ton of property. And my father-in-law, the sweetest thing ever, he got on his tractor and he shredded a like course down on the lower field from the house because their house kind of looks into. So their house is like 20 minutes from where the Hunger Games was filmed also. So think, if you know the Hunger Games movie, that scene where the cornucopia comes out of the ground and it's like a field with woods, dense woods around the edges of it and then a stream behind it, that is identical. Like that could have been filmed on their property. It looks exactly like that. So minus the cornucopia. But he, on that lower field, he mowed with the tractor this like obstacle course for the kids, put up like these little flags that they couldn't run over and stuff. I didn't try it out, but Todd did, and so did Nina, his sister. And both of them were like, shit, that's hard. I think I killed 2 kids doing that because they were pretending the flags were kids. So so they did that for the first couple of days. They have an ancient Range Rover that they keep on the property that I think if they traded it in, they'd get like $350. So they allowed the kids, that's what they use to drive trash around and stuff too. So they let them kind of explore all of that. And then their driveway is about half a mile long and it kind of winds through and goes up, has a little bridge on it, like not a bridge, but like a culvert kind of thing, landscaped in certain parts, curvy, hilly. And the kids were driving and Rudy, my father-in-law, was in the passenger seat, and the kids were full on driving the car. By the way, Mason, I think at this point is the second tallest person in the whole family. I'm number 1. I think Mason is number 2. And Claire's not too far from not being the shortest. Todd's family is not a large people. I am a humongous person when I go there. I always break everything. So this time I broke a vase, hit it with my suitcase, fell off the thing. So it was a vase that Nina had made in like the 4th grade or something. Fortunately, it broke very cleanly. Like it didn't shatter, it just snapped. And so we were able to glue it back together. So I broke that. I broke the corkscrew, the like that. Um, in my defense, in that family, they drink a lot. And so it probably had a lot of use. The metal was probably fatigued on it. So had to get a new one of those. And fortunately, I travel with one. So I was like, oh, I'll just go to my suitcase. And we had a replacement right away until Amazon could deliver out there. Um, but kids learn to drive. And Claire sort of knew how already because she drives our lawn tractor. She mows our yard. Todd likes to mow and weed eat and all that stuff. So we have a yard guy, but he's not allowed to touch the grass. But she asked how to make some more money, and so Todd's like, "I'll pay you $5 to mow the front yard." And so she drives that tractor around. So she was really good about it. The hard thing is learning the finesse of when to accelerate, when to brake, how much to do, and it just takes practice, right? I'm not sure I actually know how to do it very well either. And Eric just got home, first day with kiddos at school. Yep, and we just got home at like an hour ago, I guess. We went to 7-Eleven, the big Taj Mahal 7-Eleven by our house, and everybody was there. It was the hangout. Slurpees after school. Anyway, what else happened while we were there? Oh, by the way, talk about the heat, because it still has balls here in Dallas. If you are not here in the Dallas area, I think it was like 104 today or something crazy like that. Today, I think, or it was either yesterday or today, I saw one of the weathermen post about this on social earlier. Historically, the average temperatures go down from this day forward. So historically, based on history, that's what historical means, every day earlier in the summer is hotter than every day moving forward. So y'all, we're on the home stretch. We're on the home stretch. I hope so. Anyway, Bentley's asking that movie that started Daniel Day-Lewis. I actually have no idea. I just know that they say there was some movie with an Indian chief at the end standing on a big flat rock, and that's Flat Rock Mountain. I think that's what it's called, Flat Rock Mountain, right there. Yeah. What else? I feel like I have so many things to talk about, and I just can't remember any of them. We had no problem with air travel. Luckily, we fly into Greenville, Spartanburg, South Carolina, and then drive about 40 minutes north to their house across into North Carolina. But on American Airlines, that is a plane. They use the same plane all day long. It even has the same flight number, the same crew. They just bounce back and forth. So as long as that plane does not break down at any point during that back and forth, you are safe to go. So both of our flight early, our first actually was early, like left early. The flight attendants, you would have thought it was a Southwest Airlines flight. Actually, the flight attendants were like, everybody sit down. Everybody's on board now. We got everyone checked in. If we can get everyone to sit down, we can go, go, go. They were like, so we got out of there like 15 minutes earlier than we were expected to, which is good. So that was a non-issue. What else? That airport is teeny tiny also. Like it takes like 2 minutes to walk from the gate to the curb. So that's super easy. Most beautiful. If you've been to the Greenville Spartanburg Airport, this is a really boring topic, but it's true. If you've been to the Greenville Spartanburg Airport, you can back me up on this. It is the most beautiful airport in the United States of America because it is landscaped to the hilt. It has this giant fountain in the front. It's got like a waterfall. It is like it's like just landing in a park. It is so beautiful. Just go visit. GSP. What else? I saw that. I think some of the big. So there were two big news stories that broke since we have spoken. I have an opinion on one of them, and I may talk about the other. So the one that I have an opinion on, Anne Heche. So Anne Heche, which I'm sure Michelle Condrey knows and probably taught acting too. The Anne Heche was in that terrible car accident that I think her car exploded, her skin burned, the house burned down, all that kind of stuff, right? And I think early reports are coming in that she had a mix of cocaine and fentanyl in her system, which, by the way, is a lot more common than you know. I know multiple accounts of people who have had bad experiences with fentanyl-laced cocaine, more than I cared to admit. Y'all, cocaine is more prevalent than you think in society. I'm not one of them, but it is much more prevalent. And a lot of people add the fentanyl part of it. So um, that's your the more you know moment of this episode. Um, but so all of that happened, and there was one thing that really got under my craw about the coverage. So maybe about a day, 2 days into it, people were like, well, why hasn't Ellen said anything? Why hasn't Ellen said anything? And I'm like, and then finally Ellen did, like, to a paparazzi say, like, of course I don't want her to be hurt or whatever. But here's my thing. Why at all was there an expectation that Ellen would publicly make a statement? They were together for less than 3 years, over 20 years ago. Why would it, like, I don't know. It's just weird to me that anyone would have that expectation. Everything doesn't need. And wouldn't that statement? I mean, that could backfire on Ellen if she were to make this grand statement about it. Everyone's like, "Oh, she's trying to attach herself to Ellen or to Anne Heche, whatever." So there's that. And then I'm like, well, what about all of other Anne Heche's other exes? Didn't Anne Heche date Steve Martin for a while? I don't recall Steve Martin, who was pretty damn popular. Maybe as popular or more popular than Ellen, actually, if you really, like, cumulatively, when you add the career and all of that together. I don't believe Steve Martin said anything. I don't think he should have, but anyway. So that was one thing. I feel terrible that she died. She seemed like a very nice woman. Of course, no one speaks ill of the dead. So all the outpourings have been great and wonderful and all that kind of stuff. So there was that. And there was the Trump Mar-a-Lago thing, y'all. What is going on with that? So I don't know enough about it. I don't have a strong opinion about that, but people are, like, losing their mind. And here's what is really interesting to me about the Trump Mar-a-Lago and the FBI raid and all of that kind of stuff. This is what's most interesting to me about it, is that almost everyone involved, so not including Attorney General Merrick Garland, but everybody else involved, the head of the FBI, the head of some other stuff, whatever, the judge involved, they were all Trump appointees. So I'm thinking some big shit happened if that's the case. Or maybe they're using reverse psychology. They're trying to get people so riled up that they, whatever. So I think time will tell. We'll find out more about what actually happened. I think that I think there's going to be a lot of people with whiplash about their opinions on it. So I'm trying not to have too strong of one. So I like my neck, maybe a little thinner, but I think a lot of people are going to have whiplash about, like, their initial reaction and versus what the opinion that they land on is going to be. I feel like there's been a lot of mental gymnastics involved as well. People having an opinion and then trying to justify it. That happens a lot lately. So Eric is saying that Anne Heche was only 5 years older than we. I would have guessed she was older only because she's been around a long time. Yeah. Huh. That's interesting. I did not I thought she was well into her 50s, like late 50s. But, oh yeah, she was born in 1969. I do remember seeing that, and we're 74. Well, you're closer to 74 than I am. I'm like the last 16 days of 1974, 17 days. But yeah, wow. And then probably the biggest, most groundbreaking news that came out while I was away. Are you ready for it? Do I need a sound effect? Let me see if I can do a. I know that's the joke. I was hoping it was a shoot. I was hoping it was a drum roll. I don't use it very often, nor should I. Is that Days of Our Lives is going off the air for television and moving to streaming only.
Sorry, could you say that again?
Even Siri's like, shut up. Days of Our Lives. So, you know what's crazy about Days of Our Lives, and I have a feeling that a lot of you share this with me, is that it was such an integral part of summer break for me, because we would always have like a babysitter that came to the house, stayed with us. We didn't have, when we were kids living in small town Texas, and we had 3 siblings in the house at that time. It was 4 of us, 4 kids. Uh, there was no camps. You weren't going to ballet camp. You weren't going to soccer camp. You weren't going to sleepaway camp. You were staying your ass at home, and you either had some college girl or high school girl who was being paid $4 an hour to come watch you. And by watch you, it was not to enrich your life. It was not to make sure that you were having a magical summer. It was to make sure you did not die, that you had some food, and that you did not go overly feral, right? And so, and half the time we just all watch TV with her in the room all day long. Todd does not believe this. I tell him, I was like, most American kids growing up just sat and watched TV all day during the summer times. He's like, no. I'm like, okay, whatever. But Days of Our Lives was such an integral part of that because it was on at noon. I couldn't tell you what network it was on. I think ABC maybe. But it was on at noon. I think that, and it was one of those shows where there was nothing else on. So like before that, you could watch The Price is Right at 10 o'clock, at 11 o'clock. I think that The Young and the Restless came on at 11, but most of the time there was another show that you could watch also, another game show or something. And then at noon it was Days of Our Lives, and that was the show everybody watched. That was back when what was it? Kayla and what's the guy with Patch and Kayla and Hope and Bo and all that. And Deidre Burns was what was her character's name? It'll come to me in a second. But anyway, and that was when the summer stories were bonkers, y'all. Y'all remember this? Monica's like, I don't recall her feeding us. The summer stories were bonkers on that show. I remember one, Marlena. That's her name, Marlena. Marlena, Deidre Hall's character, was like possessed by Satan one year. She had like an identical twin one year. She had like everything bad in the world happened to Marlena. And then like Hope and Bo. So it was Hope and Bo were together, and then they were broken up, and I don't know. And I think Hope is back on the show now. Basically, if you turn on Days of Our Lives right now, it's like later that afternoon from whenever you turned it on before. Yeah, Monica, I believe they are still carrying. Yeah, I turned it on not too long ago. But so it is going to streaming now, which is kind of weird to me because it's like, I feel like we only watched it because it was on, not because it was something we wanted to watch. But then once you get into it, you're into it, especially in the summertime. They know that you got kids home from school watching it in the summertime, and that you need those kids to shut up. So put some Satan on the screen, or put an evil twin, or put some sort of like they're trapped in a burning ship or something like that. Make it exciting, right? But now it's streaming, so you got to be like a hardcore fan. Like, I don't think there's anyone who is just like, you know what, I'm going to give Days of Our Lives a try. I think it's just one of those things that either your mom watched it, your grandmother watched it, or it's just on TV while you're having lunch one day. But also, I don't feel like, and so maybe going to streaming is its natural progression, because I rarely turn the TV on and just say, what's on TV? I do a lot. Todd never does it. Todd will go to Netflix and see, okay, what's there to watch, and he'll watch a dedicated program. I, on the other hand, and this is why we have direct stream instead of nothing, is I like going, and I still like channel surfing. I don't watch TV very often, but when I do, I almost always start with a channel surf just to see what's on, see what I can catch the middle of, the end of, what's coming up, all that kind of stuff. What's the new show on HGTV? That's almost always where I land. A little bit some QVC also. Y'all know that about me. It just fascinates me. So see what they're talking about on QVC. As long as it's not women's clothing, I usually will watch it for a little bit. And I'm not going to lie, I might watch that too. Depending on how cute the frocks are. But just channel surfing to see what's on. I can name 14 movies that if it is on, I will stop and watch it, even if it's in the last 10 minutes of it. Todd doesn't do that. And I don't think that a lot of kids get that. I don't even know if my children know how to do that. I know they know how to like go to Disney Plus or Netflix or Hulu or any of the $6,000 worth of streaming services that we have. But I don't know that they know how to just say, let's see what's on ABC tonight, or oh, what's on HGTV at the moment. Eric is saying that his mom was an All My Children fan. I watched Young and the Restless in college. I purposely wouldn't take an 11 a.m. class if I could help it. That's funny. Yeah, All My Children. Was All My Children with like Vicky? It was on after Days of Our Lives where I was, I believe, because I do believe that I watched All My Children some. And was that the one where Vicky, and she was like the mayor of the town where they lived at some point? I think she also may have had like an evil twin or something at some point. And what are the main characters on that? Like I think that I know enough about All My Children that I could pick it back up too if I needed to. But yeah. And the only other thing I have to talk about is over the weekend, Mason asked if we could go to a haunted house this season. And not only did I say no, I said hell to the no, 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 not happening. You can find a friend who will take you. And All My Children was Erica Kane. Susan Lucci. Okay, I did not watch that show at all. That was not my show at all. I'm thinking about One Life to Live. Yeah, maybe. They're all the same. But Mason wants to go to a haunted house. I do not. First of all, I startle so fucking easily. I hate being scared. I hate being startled. Like, it just drives me nuts. And sometimes it'll make me laugh, but most of the time it makes me want to donkey kick somebody. So no, that is not happening. And Monica's saying, why not? Sterling would go too. Well, I mean, if we'll make it the whole thing. Maybe. So anyway, there is... So I was talking about this at the office today about it, and they were like, because I saw that haunted houses are starting to sell their tickets now, and they're open like late September through early November. I think they stay open even after Thanksgiving, but they do the haunted houses, and I just don't enjoy them very much. I am the person, I would be is his name Andy on Ellen, the producer? I'm the one who would be like, no, you go get back there. He's like, you're not gonna scare. Like I'm that person, and or I just totally nail out, like just no, you know. I'm either Alfred from the Birdcage or I am Andy from Ellen. I think it's funny watching those sometimes. Monica wants to do it the weekend we come up to Elton. We will see. We may need to negotiate on that point. And I may need a video crew to go through it with me as well. Hey, y'all, does everyone want to do a big cooped up haunted house tour? So my haunted house experiences are as such. In college, I was dating this guy who wanted to go to haunted houses. And me being the people pleaser I was back then, and I was doing it for some D too, if we're being honest, I wanted some tricks and treats. Let's just put it that way. I agreed to go to 2 different haunted houses with him that season. The relationship did not last much longer than that, as you can imagine. Both because I couldn't put up with that shit, and 2, he saw the real me coming out. But we went to one where it was a hayride, and the hayride. No, let me go back to the other one. We went to this first one, and I can't remember. It was in Fort Worth. I can't remember what it was called. I don't think it was the Cutting Edge one. The Cutting Edge one is supposed to be like the scariest one of all time. Like you have to sign a release that if you have heart failure, they are not they're not liable for it. There are 2. Oh, let me backtrack. I'm jumping all over the place. There's 2 reasons I don't like haunted houses. One, I don't like haunted houses because I don't like being scared or startled. I don't watch scary movies, anything like that. And number 2, and this is probably my big one, I'm not normally a paranoid person, but to me that is a prime opportunity for some wacko to break in there with some sort of weapon and just start killing people, and everyone thinks it's part of the show, and they're like laughing and stuff. Meanwhile, you're getting stabbed to death. No, not happening. Or there'll be a human shield between me and anything that's happening. But I went with Alan to 2 different haunted houses. It was, one of them was to this one in Fort Worth, where at the very end of it, And I think it was multi-story, if I remember correctly. I think you had to go up. So in addition to being scared, you had to fucking exercise. Like that's no. But so you had to go upstairs and downstairs and all that kind of stuff. And at the very end, you had to go down. I think it was down into stairs into this pit of foam. It was just one of these rooms full of foam. And of course, I was wanting to look cute that night for my little boyfriend. It was someone I was dating. He was not a boyfriend. Someone I was going on dates with. I wanted to look cute. And so I was wearing my favorite powder pink cashmere sweater. It was gorgeous. Gorgeous. Delicious. It deceased after that because I had to go down into this well of wet foam, ruined my cashmere sweater. Yeah, it was never the same after that. So I have PTSD from that. So every haunted house is pissed at me. What did I say? Just for planting that idea in people's heads. So there was that one, and I don't remember in which order these haunted houses went. I think that the pink sweater one was actually the second one that we went to. The other one was it was down south of Dallas, down like towards Waxahachie, I don't know where, but and by the way, Monica, there is a Halloween Screams theme park. It's where the Renaissance Festival is the rest of the time, that they turn into like Halloween land. But and it may have been that we went to. It was down that direction. We had to take a hayride to the entrance of the haunted house, which I'm convinced, based on where we ended up and where our cars were, I'm convinced that we just went around the building, but we kind of did a circuitous route to get there. The hayride wasn't too bad for me because you're on a hayride. People are jumping out at you. You got somebody else to throw at the person, all of that, right? So there's that. But then we get into the haunted house and we're going through, and it's typical scary shit where they kind of stand like this. They don't touch you. Although I've heard nowadays that some haunted houses, they are allowed to touch you. We are not going to those for real. Like, You touch me, I'm gonna donkey kick you. That is what's gonna happen. So they like hover over you and all that stuff, which is equally creepy. So we're going through this haunted house, and at the end, somehow we went in as a group, and at the end it was just me and this other person. And this other person was not even the person I went with to this thing. But we had gotten so spread out throughout the process of this, and I guess they do traffic flow or whatever to try to do this on purpose. At the end, we ended up in this large, I would say it was like a circus tent. It was kind of like a clown theme. The circus tent, pitch black, fog, filled with fog, just fog going into that. And at the other end of the building, you could see an opening. You could see light shining through it. And you knew that that's where you needed to go. That's what it was trying to do. So you're going through it. And so the suspense was killing you because you couldn't see shit around you, whatever, right? And so you're going and you're trying to get to the entrance without something approaching you from the side out of the fog. And then what's worse is that nothing was approaching out of the side from the fog. So you're going, and nothing is jumping out. So the anticipation is not, oh my God, there's nothing there. The anticipation is like the worst thing in the world ever is about to happen to me. So finally we get close to the edge, and then all of a sudden you hear a chainsaw right behind you. You turn around, and there's a guy standing there with a chainsaw, and you could just see like the reflection from the light in front of you and the fog. And then he starts chasing us. So again, fucking exercise. The only thing I hate worse than being scared is exercising. And so we just start running, and I'm the person, I'm like, sorry, dude, tripping the person running with me. I didn't even know who that person was. I was running out, and so we get out, and then the chainsaw person is like, like, it was crazy. So no, hell no, but I might be convinced. So, my sister, I don't like being touched now. There's no way I'd let some scary person do it. Unless that scary person is your husband. Or my husband. And I meant that your husband for you, my husband for me, not like in some weird three-way kind of fashion. So, yes, Monica, you would. Based on things I know about you, and if you laugh too hard. Now, I think it would be at the end. I think during it, so it's going to go one of two ways. Monica and I are going to go do this. It's going to go one of two ways. We're going to, so both of us will piss our pants 100%. We will get scared, and then we will start laughing at how scared we got, and then we asphyxiate in there, and we're dead on the floor. Or we just like run through it. But I think that the laughing probably will distract everybody. So anyway, yeah. Eric, you want to go? You want to be scared with us? You're like, oh, my lands. Eric is, meanwhile, I'm dropping F-bombs like crazy. Because that's me too. Don't take your kids to a haunted house with me there if you do not want to hear a bunch of F-bombs. Because I have no control. Sorry. Alrighty, I think I caught all of the comments. We may need to revisit that haunted house thing because that does sound like fun. Well, sort of. Not really. Terrible, but fun. Kind of. I don't know. Maybe. Anyway. Alrighty, well, that's all I got on my card. I went over a little bit. Thank you for indulging me. Well, with that, I'm going to say bye. I love you. It's important to know you were loved. I love that you watched this. Thank you, and I missed you. Thank you for letting me process externally my daily therapy session. And Eric is agreeing that he would totally do a haunted house with us. Oh, Lord. Turned into a thing, which is of my own making. So it's fun to be back, and I will see you tomorrow at 4:30 for another episode of Cooped Up Live. Should I say, hey, if y'all want to get a sponsor from a haunted house to sponsor all of this, I wouldn't argue with that. Alrighty, I'll talk to you later. Bye.